welcome to SSUC's live stream. We are spiritual seekers united in community, and we welcome you to our broadcast today. We are especially glad to be standing together in the garden on what will be a hot day here in Edmonton, and where we can be pleasantly together in a beautiful place. I'm glad to be back with you after 2 weekends away, and do hope that when we gather together today to speak about standing with each other, standing together, that we can do so with meaning, with purpose, and with gratitude. Welcome, everyone.
We humbly stand together on this storied land of Cree and Métis people, honoring the way their relationship with this land has shaped Indigenous knowledge and the partnership that we seek to create as Indigenous, refugee, and immigrant settlers on this land. We are indebted to Indigenous knowledge and the values of their culture, and together we seek to learn the respect and humility and wisdom, truth, love, and courage that can build a stronger and safer future with each other. And we stand together on this memory land that holds the memory of those who've gone before us, and we receive the inspiration of their life and commit ourselves again to do what they are no longer here to do. We stand together, although apart, on this Heritage Sunday as a spiritual community united in celebrating diversity, seeking to make a positive difference in the world, inspiring compassion, and engaging life with spiritual depth. We're so glad you've joined us. Come on inside with us. We place light in our midst. Invite you to take your candle and light it where you are in your place. And as we light our candles, let them be a symbol of our intention to live in ways that seek light, in ways that reflect light, and honor the light in one another. We light these candles to focus our intention to live into the best of our humanness, to speak better words, to live in better ways, to have greater courage, deeper compassion. In this light, may we strengthen our intention to live in the graced light of a new day with kindness, gentleness, and integrity. May the flame remind us that we seek to live more nearly as we pray. We sing together with Rochelle that which has become our theme song as we've explored the wisdom of the trees.
As trees reach up to the sunlight, as leaves unfurl in the spring.
Good morning, everyone. I am happy to talk about that last line of that song that we sung, that when we live more closely as we pray, we know that we're connected as one. When we stand together, when we do things together, united, as a way to help each other, as a way to keep each other safe, as a way to build community, strengthen community, and keep our community healthy, we have to recognize that we are one. That when one of us hurts, we all hurt. And when one of us celebrates, we all celebrate. This is one of the longest pieces of wisdom that so many religious traditions have taught us. That we are connected and one. And so today, in our Time for All Ages, I want to read a story to you. It is called 3 Tall Trees, and it's by David Wheel, illustrated by Dale McNevin. In case you don't know, I'm Enigma the Crow, up here at the top of the tree. The great and the small, I watch over them all, as cool as a creature can be. When the cat takes a stroll, or the horse stops to roll, or an eagle makes waves in the sky, that fox on the run and green snake in the sun, I observe with an unblinking eye. There are puzzles and riddles and hey-diddle-diddles and secrets that nobody knows. But my eyes are as strong as a river is long, and wide as the woods below. There are some things I see, just as odd as can be, and some you would never believe. But more strange than the rest, and the one I like best, is the tale of the 3 tall trees. The first is named Jacob, the second is Paul, the third is Elijah Ali. They grow side by side, yet each is so wide that they bump and they collide constantly. I'm sorry to say that most every day there's a feud or a squabble or a fight. It's constant commotion, for each has the notion that he is entirely right. My roots are the deepest, said Jacob. My branches are widest, brags Paul. Then Elijah Ali, just as proud as can be, says, my sap is the purest of all. Then Jacob hits Paul, and Paul shoves Ali, and he gives old Jacob a smack. What follows, of course, is war in the forest. Smackety, thwackety, whack. Oh, it's smackety, thwackety, whackety, smack, and smackety, thwackety, whack. The ground starts to shake from the war that they make, and no one is safe from attack. Each tree has a story of greatness and glory, and each has a song he can sing. But down near the ground, where the truth can be found, they all have forgotten one thing. Aha! Way down near the ground, where the truth can be found, is a sight to amaze and enthrall. For there you can see, just as plain as can be, that these 3 trees aren't 3 trees at all. That's crazy, said Jacob. It can't be, says Paul. No way, chimes Elijah Ali. But hard as they try, they just can't deny they're parts of the very same tree. It seems we're all brothers, says Jacob. I guess I forgot that, says Paul. Then Elijah Ali remarks quietly, this fighting is hurting us all. Together, the fur and the feathers, the flowers, the plants and the trees, the cats and the dogs, the fish and the frogs, the spiders, the ants and the bees. And how do I know? I'm Enigma the Crow up here at the top of the tree. The great and the small, I'm part of them all, just like Jacob and Paul and Elijah Ali. let's remember this story of the three trees. And we can remember that whenever we have a squabble, a disagreement, whenever we share different opinions with each other, that it doesn't change the fact that we are all joined together. Look deep enough, we will find our connection. May it be so for all of us.
I'm reading the words of Mary Reynolds Thompson in her book entitled Reclaiming the Wild Soul. An excerpt from her chapter entitled Rootedness. It's late summer and I lean against a giant sequoia in Muir Grove in Sequoia National Park. Some of the trees in this particular grove have been here for more than 2,000 years. Some may remain for another 1,000 or more. Wherever a seed lands, its fate is sealed. That's what David Suzuki has written in Tree, A Life Story. Whatever approaches the tree, from predators to insects to deadly diseases or to the cut of a chainsaw, has to be accepted. Escape is not an option. Native Americans call the trees standing people. Trees share with humans the vertical life, only they remain in place from birth until death. Except perhaps for a very strange group of trees somewhere on a Pacific island that are reported to lift up their roots and inch along the earth year by year. But they are the exception. Trees in the main hold their ground. Being stationary requires ingenuity. Some trees contort themselves into incredible pretzel shapes in order to push through the crowded canopy around them and receive their share of the sunlight. Their roots, likewise, may adapt by exhibiting a marvelous roaming spirit. They dig deep in the earth, move laterally, bond with mycorrhizal fungi that enable them to seek moisture and sustenance from further afield, all the while maintaining their position. Trees have learned how to live large despite constraints, And they have all kinds of rich relationships, too, with the birds and insects and other beings that seek out their branches and nest in their hollowed trunks. Willa Cather years ago wrote, "I like trees because they seem more resigned to the way they have to live than other things do. In a world of restless motion, trees restore us to stillness and calm. Entering a forest is like entering a cathedral and vice versa. Gothic cathedrals and their lofty ribbed vaults recall the leafy roots and towering trunks of the sacred groves where humans first worshipped. In both places, we stand in awe." In the words of this contemporary writer, may we find wisdom for our living. and a reading from the Christian scriptures, one of the 4 accounts of the events leading up to the death of Jesus of Nazareth. One of those 4 accounts that we have in what has been handed down to us from the last third of the first century, reading from Matthew's Gospel. When the morning came, and all the chief priests and elders of the people conferred together against Jesus in order to bring about his death, they tied him up and led him away and handed him over to Pilate, who was the Roman governor. Now Jesus stood before Pilate, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus said, "That's what you say." But when he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he made no answer at all. And then Pilate said to him, "Do you not hear how many accusations they make against you?" But he gave no answer, not even to the single charge. As he stood before the governor was amazed. In this ancient story, may we find wisdom for our living.
When we heard our mother work for
I've been thinking about how we name a collective. We have a gaggle of geese, a raft of ducks, a flock of sheep, herd of cattle, a pride of lions, a colony of ants, a fleet of ships, a troop of monkeys, a murder of crows, and a stand of trees. And for many species of trees, it does require the support of their neighbors to stay upright. For instance, magnificent coastal redwoods that stand over 350 feet tall surprisingly don't have very deep roots. While their roots may sink down only a few feet into the soil, their roots grow laterally 100 feet or more. They stand, some of them, the height of a 30-story building weighing over 1 million pounds by supporting one another with an intricate, intertwined root system. They are literally holding each other upright. In a very real way, they stand in the strength of who they are together. Growing up in a forested Atlantic province, I didn't really think about trees as a stand until I came to Western Canada and I noticed the way trees are planted on the prairie. They're planted to create a windbreak, planted in a row, side by side, together forming a stand of trees to withstand the wind. Indigenous wisdom says it so well. In naming those trees as standing people, a standing nation, those remarkable beings with whom we share vertical life. We have a World Wide Web, they have a Wood Wide Web. Social beings that are interwoven, entwined in relationship with each other, young and old, living in interdependent relationship with all their neighbors. Think about what it takes to stand. Anatomically, it's not really in our design. The ratio of our limbs to our spine doesn't really lend itself to standing. I've been told that we aren't really designed to walk upright. We're designed to walk on all fours. When dementia claimed parts of my mom's brain, I began to see what a complex thing it is to stand up. I began to see how difficult it is to try to break down in words the particular sequence of movements that it takes to get someone upright on their feet. Those of you that have known injuries or disease processes know what a complicated thing it is just to stand up and keep standing. It's no small thing just to stand, especially when gravity is against you. This has been the experience of so many. It's no small thing just to stand when the force of privilege is against you. It's no small thing for mothers to stand together creating a wall of protest when the armed force of power is against you. It's no small thing for fathers to stand together armed only with leaf blowers against the release of tear gas. It's no small thing, as John Lewis said, to answer the highest calling of your heart and stand up for what you truly believe. All four of the first century accounts we have of the events that led the Roman Empire to execute one of its social critics tells us that Jesus appeared before Pilate, the one who has the power to send him back to his life or on to his death. But only Matthew's version chooses to insert this particular little detail that says, Jesus stood before the governor. Here, in this reimagining of events that happened some 50 years before the story is shaped, Matthew, or Matthew's community, imagines that Jesus is standing before the one who represents the empire, the one who commands the forces which occupy his nation, the one who embodies the policies that have stolen his people's land and their livelihood, the one who represents the strategy of the empire co-opting the local authorities and institutions to achieve the empire's expansionist goals, stands before the one who is in command of the very troops that have been dispatched to Jerusalem to keep a lid on things, while this occupied people are celebrating Passover, a festival inspired by an earlier liberation from slavery. The writer places Jesus in the vertical position as one who is standing for, standing with, standing up, standing against, standing before the one who will use the gravity of his power to silence any dissent. Isn't he standing in the story for those who've been knocked down? Standing for those who can no longer stand? Isn't he standing for those who've lost hope? Any hope of peace and freedom? Is he not standing for those who have lost what the empire has taken? Standing for those who have given up any hope of a nonviolent, peaceful revolution? And is he not standing against the exploitation and oppression and corruption and terror? Is he not standing against the abuse of power, both religious and political, and the distortion of the social institutions of the palace and the temple, which were meant to protect the most vulnerable? Is he not standing in this story in the company of all who refuse to stand down, back down, all who refuse to run or hide, all who refuse to be silenced, all who refuse to be seated, but will do everything they can do? And when they have done everything, they will just stand. Those who are inspired by the mysticism and the activism of this first-century wisdom teacher. We've collectively been known as a congregation. And indeed, in pre-COVID times, we congregated. But congregating is never enough. If we truly learn to live the radical love and justice required to right the world, we are summoned to stand, like a stand of trees. To be a collective who hold each other up, that give our strength where we can, accept support where we need it, stand together against the winds of harm and hurt, stand together to hold and heal, stand in the strength of who we are together against hate, and stand for the power that is love. We may not have to stand on Edmund Pettus Bridge. We may not have to face the batons of fear and hate. But we do have to lay down our silence and stand against the racism and privilege we meet in the grocery store and on the street corner and in our workplace and in our homes and in our hearts. We may not have to stand before the one who has power over our liberty, but we do have to stand with what protects and provides what is necessary for life to flourish. Like trees who stand because they cannot run, we stand with what is now. A disease that is changing and rearranging every aspect of our lives. But to stand is not to slouch in resignation. To stand is to rise and reach from where we are to wherever we find light. Like trees, we must stand because there is no other way to be. We must learn how to live where we live. Like trees, we must stand together against the winds that would destroy what we are uniquely placed to protect. And as we learn our way down through the trees, may we learn to stand and learn that we stand best by standing together.
O standing nation, we sing for you, we breathe with you, we stand by you. O standing nation, we sing for you, we breathe with you, we stand by you. O standing nation, we sing for you, we breathe with you, we stand by you. O standing nation, we sing for you, we breathe with you, we stand by you. O standing nation, we sing for you, we breathe with you, we stand by you. O standing nation, we sing for you, we breathe with you, we stand by you. O standing nation, we sing for you, we breathe with you, we stand by you. O standing nation, we sing for you, we breathe with you, we stand by you. O standing nation, we sing for you, we breathe with you, we stand by you. O standing nation, we sing for you, we breathe with you, we stand by you. O standing nation, we sing for you, we breathe with you, we stand by you. O standing nation, we sing for you, we breathe with you, we stand by you. We breathe, we breathe.
As we breathe together, may we also strengthen our intentions as we speak the words that will appear on your screen, as we speak them, think them, read them together. In a breath, life comes to us, drawing us the world and all we will know, experience, and love. In a breath, life leaves us, our hopes, dreams, possibilities, exhaled into a vast and unknown eternity. Breathe deep the residue of what has been. Breathe deep the essence of what now is. Breathe deep the elements coalescing into what will be. Breathe deep all of who we have been. Breathe into all that we may become. We breathe as those whose breath yet calls us to tomorrow. Amen.
Just want to share a few invitations with you. Our Monday check-in time is taking a break for the holiday Monday, and we'll be back a week from tomorrow. But we invite you to join us on Tuesday evening as we explore Tuesday topics at 7 p.m. This week we're exploring compassionate caring. Joyce and Claire will lead us in a conversation using some resources of Karen Armstrong. You'll find the link to join us in your e-messenger, which you received on Friday. And if you didn't receive a link or have lost track of it, please be in touch with us on the contact information you'll find on your screen as a way to give us an opportunity to provide you with a link so that you can join us. We also want to invite you to have a look at our website and explore the opportunity to join us for Expressing Wonder. The first weekend in October, it's being offered virtually on Zoom, and it will be a wonderful opportunity to hear some great speakers, to engage in some conversation with one another. Registration form is found on the website. Please have a look, and we encourage you to register. We're looking forward to an opportunity to gather with friends from SSUC Saskatoon and indeed with folks across the country as we express our wonder and hear from some stimulating presenters and share in some spiritual gatherings with one another. We also express our gratitude for the support that you give us financially, which enables us to continue to do the things we're doing, enables us to continue to be a community that stands for and with some of the most vulnerable in our city and beyond. You can support us anytime on our website or by leaving a check here on Thursday mornings when the office is open, or mailing a check to us. And you can support us by purchasing grocery cards, which again are available here on Thursday mornings. As we come toward the close of our time with each other, I invite us to sing a piece of music Scott Kearns taught us when he was with us at the last Ever Wonder conference. A piece of music that speaks so much into the time in which we find ourselves. Please join Deb and Janice as we sing with one another. Once again, we change the light, just as it does each day at dusk and at dawn. We change the light from our individual flames into the collective energy of a cloud of smoke, reminding us that we do not stand alone. Though we are not together in this place, we are together in purpose, together in commitment, together in shared values, together in shared hopes for our world. With the energy of our songs and our prayers, our words of wisdom, and the call of our highest humanity, we move together from this time into the gift of all that this day holds. Stay safe, be well, and we'll see you soon.